The Pats and Mike Vrabel head down to Tennessee for their third straight road game on Sunday as they get ready to face a team that is in flux. It's our deep dive preview on Friday. This is Locked On Patriots.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening? I am your host, Nick Cattles, born and raised in New England, been covering the Pats for the past 16 years, also co-host of the Greg Bedard Patriots podcast with Nick Cattles, and a sports talk show host veteran. On today's episode, we'll tell you how the Pats D can make it miserable for Cam Ward and company. Also, we'll give you the biggest mismatch between Josh McDaniels' offense and the Titans' defense. But first, Sunday will be a game of emotion and unknowns. We appreciate you joining the show, making us your first listen, and for being an everydayer. The Locked On Patriots podcast is a proud partner of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, to hit that thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. And I want to let you know we will be going live on Sunday right after the game. So once you watch Titans Patriots, don't forget live post-game on Sunday right here with Locked On Patriots. There have been a series of challenges for the Pats over the past few weeks. You lose to Pittsburgh by turning the football over 5 times, and we all wondered, how would the Patriots respond to that nightmare the next week against Carolina? We know they answered. They responded. They beat down the Panthers. Then the question was, well, you just beat down Carolina, not a good football team, even though they're now 500 at 3-3. You beat down Carolina. The question was, can the Patriots level up? Can they go to Buffalo and at least compete with the Buffalo Bills, the Super Bowl favorites? We know how that ended. Not only did they compete, they beat the Buffalo Bills. And then last week, before the Saints game, we asked the question, can the Patriots avoid a trap game in New Orleans? Just beat the Super Bowl favorites in the AFC, the Buffalo Bills, at home Sunday night. Big time emotional swing. Can you handle that? Can you handle being favorites on the road? And this week, the challenges continue. And I think as we get ready for Titans Patriots, we have to appreciate that this week it's really a 2-pronged challenge. Number one, handling the emotions of Mike Vrabel's return to Tennessee. Now, I know Mike Vrabel's been talking about this is not a win one for the Gipper type game. He's downplaying it. We all knew he was going to downplay it. Mike Vrabel's not going to go out there and publicly say, yes, this game means an awful lot to me. Yes, it means more to me than some other games that are on the schedule. Yes, I would love to go back to Tennessee and absolutely beat them like a drum. He's not going to say any of that. But Mike Vrabel heading back to Tennessee, along with a few players and a lot of coaches on this coaching staff going back to Tennessee, the question is, will they be able to handle their emotions? Don't try to do too much. Don't try to do extra. Just do you. Do what you've done the past few weeks. You keep winning football games by following the script. And so that's the first prong of this. Can you handle the emotions? Your head coach going back to the place that fired him. How will you handle all of that? And then the second challenge is that you're now going against a Tennessee Titans team that has an interim head coach in Mike McCoy. So you really don't know how much is going to change. What is going to change? Is there going to be a dramatic difference in the approach of Tennessee this week compared to the first 6 weeks under Brian Callahan, who was fired on Monday? So how much change will we see, and what will change from Tennessee? Most, I will say, of the coaching staff stayed. It was pretty much Brian Callahan and his father, Bill Callahan, who were, see you later, ushered out of Tennessee. So you have a lot of the staff still there. Does that mean the staff is going to just continue to do what they've been doing? I'm not sold on that. Maybe the staff has a lot of different ideas that Brian Callahan did not want to actually include as part of his overall plan as the head coach. So how much change will we see? And the interim head coach bump is something that's been talked about all week long. And Evan Lazar at Patriots.com did a great job. He scooped this up. Teams who fired their head coach, because the idea is that you fire the head coach, the new guy comes in, the team is now on high alert. They know they could be gone. They know drastic changes could happen at any moment, and they usually have a little bit of extra juice that first week. Evan Lazar writes, teams who fired their head coach during the season are 17-16 the following week over the last 15 seasons. Now, that might not sound like a big deal, 17-16, but remember, these are teams that are firing their head coach during the season, which usually means you're off to a terrible start, a la the 1-5 Tennessee Titans. However, since 2022, Evan Lazar writes, that record is a more pedestrian 3-6. So the last 9 times a team fired its head coach during the season, the next week that team went 3-6. So the interim head coach boost hasn't been much of a boost the last 9 times out. What will we see on Sunday? I'm not sure. Here's another challenge for the Patriots coming up on Sunday in Tennessee. This is their 3rd straight road game, as I mentioned at the top. The 3rd straight road game. You don't see this very often. Mike Reese posted that since 1975, the Patriots have had 3 straight regular season road games 10 times. So since 75, 50 plus years, you're looking at 50 years of football, and having 3 straight regular season road games has only happened 10 times during that 50 or so years. And the Patriots, every single time, all 10 times, they have lost at least one of those 3 straight road games. They have never been 3-0 on a 3-game road trip, so to speak, a la the baseball world. So you got a lot of stuff going on. You've got a lot of emotions with Mike Vrabel returning to Tennessee, a lot of the coaching staff returning to Tennessee, some of the players heading back to Tennessee. So you've got those raw emotions, the natural emotions from the people involved. You have Mike McCoy, the interim head coach now, an unknown, having really no clear idea how that's going to impact the Titans this weekend. And you have, as the background to all of this, a backdrop, 3 straight road games. You talk about being weary. You talk about being tired and traveling, changing time zones multiple times over the past couple of weeks. The 2nd straight local time noon kickoff for the Patriots. They did that last weekend in New Orleans. So a lot of challenges. And the question is whether or not Mike Vrabel's team can continue to check the boxes. We'll see how it unfolds on Sunday. But emotion and unknowns. All right, let's get into the game now. There's a huge mismatch for the Tennessee defense that Drake Maye has to take advantage of on Sunday. We'll tell you what that is next. This is Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. We all turn to some funny places for advice, your barista, your barber, but not everyone is the right one when it comes to real support. That's why BetterHelp is here. With over 30,000 licensed therapists and more than 10 years of experience, BetterHelp helps you find your right match, someone clinically trained and credentialed to guide you through life's challenges. You can catch yourself venting to group chats or oversharing with friends who mean well, but they're not therapists. Having someone trained to help you work through tough situations can make all the difference. You can start with a simple questionnaire, and BetterHelp does the matching work for you. And if it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. It's the largest online therapy provider in the world. BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Find the one with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/LockedOn. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOn. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections, like Drake May's passing yards, or Ramondre Stevenson rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. I love how quick it is. You can make your lineup in just under a minute. My favorite part could be the Prize Picks adding stacks. You want to ride with a player? You can select their passing yards, rush yards, and touchdowns all in one lineup. It's also fun to follow other players in the app and copy their lineups with just one click. And the new injury reboot feature, it's cool. If your player leaves early and doesn't return, it won't count against you. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. We remind you about the live post game coming up on Sunday following the Titans and the Patriots on YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. There should be opportunities for the Patriots offense and Drake Maye to once again do work. Mike Giardi posted, the Patriots have scored 42, 23, and 25 points in their last 3 games. It's only the second time since the start of the 2020 season they've gone for 23 or more points in 3 straight. It's kind of crazy, right? Only the second time in the past 5 years they've scored 23 or more points in 3 straight games. And when you look at the stats, when you look at the analytics, and when you look at the personnel that the Patriots have on offense, there is going to be an opening on Sunday for big plays downfield. The Tennessee defense has struggled against deep passes downfield. When you look at the big plays, the Titans' pass defense is 23rd in yards after the catch allowed. Remember Stephon Diggs in Buffalo? All the yak that he put up? You can have that same type of situation against Tennessee. Tennessee is the 8th worst passing defense in EPA per pass on deep passes. Now, deep passes are 20-plus air yards. So Tennessee is one of the 10 worst defenses in football against passes deep downfield. Did you know that the Patriots are number 1 in EPA per pass on deep passes? So you have one of the bottom 8, right? One of the bottom 8 teams in the NFL defending the deep pass against a team in the Patriots that are the best team in the NFL when it comes to throwing deep passes. Evan Lazar writes, Drake May's deep passing through 6 weeks is the best we've seen in the next-gen era, which goes back to 2016. Drake May's completion rate on deep passes, the best in football. His EPA per play, the best in football. His completion percentage over expected, the second best in football. And his passer rating, Drake May's passer rating on deep passes is 157.9, which is almost perfect. And it is the best mark in all of football. Taylor Kyles has some different numbers from Pro Football Focus. Drake May's passer rating, according to PFF's deep passing, is 156.3. Again, that's almost perfect. Drake Maye is 12 for 15, 353 yards, and 4 touchdowns on deep passes. That's according to Pro Football Focus. And Drake Maye does not have a single interception on a deep throw in 2025. One of the biggest weaknesses for Tennessee's defense is the biggest strength for Drake Maye through the first 6 weeks of this season. And we went through earlier in the week Kayshon Boutte's numbers on deep passes and what he's doing. This could be another game where Kayshon Boutte gets loose. Could be. And I wonder, will Tennessee, looking at these numbers and looking at last week against New Orleans when Drake Maye was just launching balls downfield, will Tennessee play more too-high safety on Sunday to try to combat what Drake Maye does with the deep ball? Evan Lazar wrote that the Titans play the 11th lowest rate of single high safety in the NFL. So maybe you see too high safety to try to slow down Drake Maye. A lot of teams going against the Patriots, the defenses, they're playing a lot. They're playing a lot of 1 high versus 2 high. And so what will Tennessee do? But there's going to be an opening. Tennessee has given up deep passes, and Drake Maye has been fantastic throwing those deep passes. Let's look at something else. Josh McDaniels and Drake Maye. This is going to be a fascinating matchup on Sunday that you don't want to overlook. And it is the scheme of the offense, what Josh McDaniels comes up with, what Drake Maye is comfortable with against this interior defensive line. Now, Tennessee is 27th in the NFL in pressure rate. However, Jeffery Simmons is a freaking beast. He is number one, according to ESPN. He's the best interior defensive line pass rusher in football. He is number one in interior defensive line pass rush win rate. And watching the Raiders game, first drive of that game, the Raiders get a field goal, but Jeffery Simmons absolutely dominates that first drive. He makes 4 impact plays. If it wasn't for the rest of the defense faltering, the Raiders would have had no shot to score points on that first drive. He had a tackle for loss. He had a sack. He collapsed the entire interior offensive line of the Raiders, which created another tackle for loss or sack. I mean, Jeffery Simmons is still one of the best football players in the NFL, hands down. Josh McDaniels said as much to the media on Thursday. So Jeffery Simmons is a beast. And then Tennessee looks like they're going to get T'Vondre Sweat back. T'Vondre Sweat is a massive human being. Massive. And he's athletic. And he can cause some problems. He can disrupt the interior of the offensive line. So if Sweat is back, which looks like that's going to be the case, if you've got Sweat and you've got Simmons on the middle of that defensive line for Tennessee, and they do move Simmons around a little bit, but if you've got T'Vondre Sweat and Jeffery Simmons, the middle of that defensive line, that's going to be a tremendous challenge for the Patriots offense and the Patriots offensive line. Now, Femi Oladejo, who has done a really good job on the edge for Tennessee, and he had some impact plays against Vegas last weekend, Femi Oladejo is on IR. But you still have Draymond Jones, who is very quick off the edge and can cause some problems. Jihad Ward is another guy who's pretty athletic that can come off the edge. And Tennessee, they trust their defensive line because the Titans, they are 30th in the NFL in blitz rate. So they believe with Jeffery Simmons and now T'Vondre Sweat likely back and Jihad Ward and Draymond Jones, they believe that they can get after you. Now, it hasn't always been the case, but you can't take it for granted. You can't overlook the size and the athleticism that Tennessee has on the inside of that D-line. And you look at what happened last weekend in New Orleans, there was some shakiness from the Patriots offensive line. And New Orleans has some pretty big dudes on that defensive line. So keep that in mind. I don't think it's going to be much of a picnic at times in this game for Drake Maye and that O-line. Now, what do? Well, that's why you go back to Josh McDaniels and what he likes to do and what he sees on film and how he will scheme this up and what Drake Maye is comfortable with. I would have to imagine you'll see a number of bootlegs from Drake Maye. Try to get him away from Jeffery Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat. And you do that when Jeffery Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat are on the inside, you run those bootlegs away from that pressure. Now, of course, that means your edges have to hold up. Will Campbell, Morgan Moses, your tackles have to be good. But I would anticipate some bootleg action from Josh McDaniels, maybe more than we've seen before with Drake Maye because of that interior pressure and challenge. I would also expect some quick throws from Drake Maye. Get rid of the football. Don't mess around. Don't allow Jeffery Simmons to ruin drives. Don't allow him to ruin the game. Same can be said for T'Vondre Sweat. He can make 2 or 3 plays, and all of a sudden this game changes on a dime, just like that. Now, fortunately, Drake Maye, as we know, the athleticism, he can extend. He can get away from some of that pressure. He's not a statue in the pocket, which should help. One more note I would like to throw out there for all of you. The Titans defense, they tend to bite for eye candy. And they did that against the Raiders last weekend. And so I think you'll see some misdirection from Josh McDaniels on Sunday. I think he's going to try to fool the eyes of the defense, especially on the second level. He's going to try to get that defense to overreact because there were at least a few occasions that's what happened against the Raiders last weekend when Tennessee lost in Vegas. So I would not be surprised at all if you see some misdirection, if you see a lot of bootleg and a number of quick throws. The Patriots, they have to keep running the football. They have to keep trying to run the ball on Sunday as well. And that's going to be a difficult task because that means you've got to sustain your blocks. And when you're going against Jeffery Simmons and Devondre Sweat, Jared Wilson, not the biggest guy, Garrett Bradbury, not the biggest guy, it's going to be tough to sustain those blocks. Get to the second level. Execute. Now, the running back matchup's an interesting one. The Titans' run defense is 25th in DVOA, so it hasn't been very good. They're 21st in run-stop win rate, but their biggest weakness is giving up yards over expected. They're 31st in rushing yards over expected. That's been a huge weakness of Ramondre Stevenson and TreVeyon Henderson. Ramondre Stevenson is 36th out of 45 qualified rushers in rushing yards over expected. TreVeyon Henderson is even worse. He's 41st. Another issue for Tennessee is that they give up yards after the contact. They're 23rd in the NFL in yards after contact per attempt. Again, that has been a major weakness of the Patriots' backfield. Henderson is 40th. Stevenson is 41st out of 45 qualified running backs. So can you get the yards after the contact? Can you get the rushing yards over expected? In two questions, will Tennessee stack the box? They play the 12th highest stacked box rate in the NFL, 8+ defenders, and the Patriots have faced the 9th highest stacked box rate. Again, remember I said earlier, a lot of one high safety against Drake Maye this year. Teams are loading up on the run, which is interesting. Will they stop doing that because the Patriots haven't been able to run? Or will they say they haven't been able to run because of the stacked boxes? My second question is, how much will the Patriots run inside the offensive tackles? Because teams do not run a lot inside against Tennessee, the second lowest rate in between tackles. Patriots right in the middle, 16th in inside run rate. And of course, again, you've got Jared Wilson and Garrett Bradbury versus Devondre Sweat and Jeffery Simmons. That is a tough matchup. But when teams do run inside, interestingly enough, against Tennessee, there have been some big plays. Taylor Kyles posted that Tennessee has given up some huge runs downhill in between the offensive tackles. And so you want to keep an eye out on that. And the Titans defense, 19th on third down. Patriots are the 10th best offense on third down. If you can run the football early, you can move the chains. All right, the Pats defense should be in line for a big day on Sunday. We'll tell you why next as we continue with today's episode of Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let's talk about Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes, they sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how they craft every single solitary model. Stunning detail that will bring you back to dynastic runs in New England. You know, the good times. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. And you can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. And here's something that's really cool. All-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, so you can drive with confidence through almost any season. And you know what season's coming up next here. Like our players, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Guys, you've likely heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them, but if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. It's just not another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula so you can go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours. Think about that. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. The process, if you're wondering, it's simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to RUGIET.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL, and make sure to use your code so they know that we sent you. Don't forget, live post game coming up on Sunday following Titans Patriots right here on YouTube, Locked On Patriots. The Patriots defense should be able to take advantage of a rookie quarterback on Sunday. No matter how much change there might be with Brian Callahan being gone, this is an offense the Patriots defense should be capable of limiting. Cam Ward has not been good. Now, to be fair to him, it's been very unstable around him. The offensive line hasn't always been great, and there is a lack of weapons, which we'll get to a little bit later. You heard Tyler Rowland during our crossover episode yesterday talking about some of the challenges that Cam Ward has had in his rookie season. But when you look at the numbers, they're not good. Cam Ward is 33rd in passer rating. He's 33rd in QBR, which is last by a significant margin. He's 31st in completion percentage over expected. He's 34th, which is last in EPA. He's 32nd in EPA per dropback. And he's 32nd in yards per attempt. Dink, dunk, dink, dunk. He has not had a good season. Now, he does have talent. He has individual talent. He can hurt you when he breaks contain. He can hurt you throwing on the run. He has a strong arm, and he has shown this season that he is capable of making some big-time throws. But he's a rookie. He's inconsistent, and his lows have been pretty low. Some of the issues he's had, he holds on to the football for way too long. He tries to do too much at times, and the Patriots defense should be able to force a mistake or two by Cam Ward on Sunday. So they should be able to cause problems for this quarterback. But it's not just a quarterback. Let's get to the weapons or lack thereof. Calvin Ridley, supposed to be the number one receiver for this team, hasn't had a great year, hurt his hamstring against the Raiders last weekend, and we'll see if he plays. It doesn't sound like he's likely to play, but we'll see if that changes. Then you've got Tyler Lockett. This is not the Tyler Lockett you remember from 5 or 6 years ago. He has all of 8 catches and 52 yards receiving this year. He's been a non-factor. Van Jefferson, he made a few catches against the Raiders, but he's really a number 3/4 guy. He's not a number 1, not even close. And then you've got the rookie, Alec Manor, and, he just is still trying to figure out his way and figure out what he is in the NFL. So, Alec Manor, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, Van Jefferson. This wide receiver core makes the Patriots wide receiver core look like the best core in the entire NFL. The other part of this is the Patriots should be able to do very good against the run. The Titans run offense, one of the worst in the NFL. They're 28th in EPA per rush. They're 24th in run block win rate. They're 25th in yards per rush. They're 31st in rushing yards per game. Some of that is they get behind, they've got to throw. But this run attack hasn't been great. I like their backs. I do. I like their backs. Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears. I think they're both good backs. But they just have not been able to consistently get the run game going. And the Titans, their third down offense is the worst in football. 32nd. Not really running well, not great weapons. Looking at a lot of third and medium, third and longs especially. The one note I will give to you, Tony Pollard is 9th in the NFL in yards after contact. He is tough to take down. Patriots have to do a good job, like they've been doing, of tackling backs and getting them down. Tony Pollard is 18th in the league in 10-plus yard runs with 9. Don't forget, James Cook was great in that number a couple weeks ago going into the Patriots game, and the Patriots shut him down. I don't see much reason at all to believe that the Patriots defense won't be able to slow down the Titans' run game. I don't see much issue at all. They were able to slow down Carolina's run game, which has been very good. They were able to slow down Buffalo's run game, which was arguably the best going into Sunday night a couple weeks ago. They should be able to clamp down on the run, which leaves the pass rush. Can the Patriots pass rush get home a few times? They should be able to. Taylor Kyle's on Cam Ward. Cam Ward is the only quarterback with 20-plus sacks taken this season. He's gone down 25 times already. That goes back to holding the football too long. And, there is some problems with the tackles at times for Tennessee. They give up sacks off the edge. When you look at pass rush win rate, Kayvon Chason is 15th. The question is, Harold Landry didn't practice Wednesday, didn't practice Thursday. I don't feel super confident that he's going to play. And you really hope he does, because he's 17th in pass rush win rate. He would be going against J.C. Latham, and I think he could take advantage of that matchup. On the other side, Kayvon Chason versus Dan Moore Jr. According to Evan Lazar, Dan Moore Jr. is 47th in the NFL in pass blocking efficiency at tackle. He has not been good. And if Harold Landry plays, according to Taylor Kyles, Harold Landry is tied for the 7th most quick pressures in the league per next-gen stats. And the other thing I saw watching the Raiders and the Titans game from last weekend, Vegas gave the Titans offensive line fits. They drove them crazy with games up front and sending 6 pass rushers. I would expect the Patriots to be aggressive and send some extra pass rushers from time to time, and I would expect them to try to play some games, right? We talk about the simulated pressures. We talk about the creeper pressures. We talk about the twists and the stunts. The Tennessee's offensive line has some issues with that. And Ward has not been good under pressure. He's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL under pressure. Special teams, Tennessee punt coverage, not that good. The Raiders had a couple of 20-plus yard punt returns last week, so Marcus Jones might be able to pop one off. Kick return, keep an eye on Chimere DK, rookie wide receiver. He's dangerous. He walked into that Vegas game last weekend leading kick returners and yardage, so he's pretty dangerous. All right, how is this one going to end? My biggest question is, can Tennessee score enough? Can they score enough without forcing turnovers? Can they score enough without getting a special teams touchdown? I don't think they can. I got a weird feeling about this game. I just have this weird feeling like it's going to be closer than we anticipate through the first half or 3 quarters. But I've got the Patriots winning 27-16 and winning again and winning their 3rd straight game on the road. That wraps up this edition of Locked On Patriots. Thank you for making us your first listen and for being an everydayer. Reach out to me on Twitter at NickCRadio, and don't forget to throw a comment in on the YouTube channel. Hit that like button and subscribe. And for your second listen, get a double dose of the Locked On NFL podcast with Tyler the Madman Rowland and Tony Wiggins. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great weekend, and we will see you on Sunday for the live postgame.